I love the FLAC camera data centers. The FLAC camera data centers are my friends. We'll be getting into that later, but of course we are back here for another episode of Pony Express Radio. I am, of course, Mr. President Red Hawk, joining me once again to discuss the slop in the news stories of the week. Mr. Pete Quinones is back once again. How are you, sir?
Doing good, doing well.
Excellent, excellent. And if anybody here is a channel member of the Standing Back and Standing By level tiers, you will know this next character who's joining us this evening. This is Doug, who frequents us on our various gaming streams. You know, I mean, we have a whole cast of characters that we hang out here with in the OGC, but he just had to come on today because he has quite a bit to say on a certain topic that we're going to get to in this show. But say hello to everyone, Doug.
Happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to have you as well. Alrighty. So before we get into the various stories of the week, as ever, we must get through our list of sponsors and friends of the show. So at the very beginning, people know that it is July. We're in the middle of White Boy summer right now. If you guys need to get in shredded shape for White Boy winter, make sure you guys are staying nice and warm. You guys need to head on over to Axios Remote Fitness and Coaching. Link is down here in the description. While you guys are at it, you need your caffeine fix from Fox and Sons Coffee, longtime friends of the show, and many other podcasters throughout our scene. I've heard nothing but great reviews from all of you coffee drinkers out there. Maybe next year, like one of our conferences or something, we could like just have the coffee be Fox and Sons Coffee served in all the coffee pots out there. I don't know if that's possible. Maybe we could do that. Who knows? All right, so head on over to Fox and Sons. While you guys are at it, we here at OGC are fans of big tobacco, so if you need a nicotine fix, please do head on over to ALP nicotine pouches. I keep saying this, but just like the Zins and everything, I just do not like the way the actual pouch is shaped and sits in my mouth. I actually do prefer the actual shape of ALP. They do a great job. I would recommend ALP to anyone who wants to get into the nicotine pouches. So link is down here in the description. If you guys are, already getting in physical shape through Access Remote Fitness and Coaching, you also need to be working on your dress, how you guys present yourselves. And there's no better way to do that than to head on over to MS Fundrillo Suits. Whenever you guys are at a OGC conference, you can immediately tell who is wearing a Vendrillo suit or not. They really do just stand out like right away. No, it's crazy. So I myself got fitted for one earlier this year. Everyone else in the chat should get fitted for one as well. So head on over to MS Fundrillo. And then finally, our good friend, Mr. George Bagby, who is helping us quite a bit on American Spirits. The man is just an amazing encyclopedia of historic knowledge in of America. So please head over to his company, Tall Man Books, to get yourself a limited edition copy of various books that have been taken and put back into print, ranging from all sorts of topics on American history, like the Indian Wars, the selling of Texas, the Andrew Jackson presidency, and many, many more. So head on over to Tall Man Books to get your hands on some of these books that Mr. Bagby has worked tirelessly to bring back into print. So, okay, with that out of the way, fellas, you know what? Why don't we just get into that topic first? Okay, let's talk about the new surveillance state that is popping up all across the United States. We'll jump right into that one first. Okay, we're going to talk about these flock cameras. Okay, I don't know if anybody in like your local areas or what have you has been talking about these, but I know it's been a hot topic, especially down here in Florida. The discussion of these flock cameras. I've actually seen a couple of these getting put up in my area. So here we go. Here's a camera. Here's a this is like the reported number that they have right now. Over 100,000 of these things throughout many parts of the United States, mostly in the eastern coast and your metro areas or what have you. But what actually are these flock cameras? I mean, we have like security cameras on traffic stops all the time. These have been used for a long time to figure out who was actually guilty at the scene of like a car crash. Who was actually at fault for insurance company purposes. So it's like, well, what's the big deal? Why are these so dangerous? Why are these new? Well, we're going to get into that here. So Flock is just one of these companies, one of these like AI tech bro, douchebag companies, that just came out of nowhere with a bunch of taxpayer money, no doubt. And these guys, basically what these Flock cameras do is that they take a picture every single time a vehicle drives by. They capture a picture of your license plate. Okay, this is different than just like watching the intersection to see when a car actually gets into an accident or something like that, and then we determine afterwards who's at fault. This is actually recording, which car passed this area at which time, and we're plotting them on a map, basically. and complete violation of the Fourth Amendment, as far as I'm concerned, on that point, because the police are now they don't need a warrant to see where you go. Oh, this car went through this traffic light at this time and went to this traffic light at another time, and this one and another one, and they can just track your movements entirely without a warrant. And of course, American people are really upset about this. So, opening thoughts on this, gentleman.
Well, I mean, what I would say is, and this is something that I would never I would never condone, because I think it's important that companies keep making tons and tons of money. But like I've heard things about, and I decry this. I hate it. Like people taking like multiple balloons and putting them in front of flock cameras. And every time that happens, basically the company has to send somebody out to check, not only remove the balloons, but they have to check the camera. And it costs like thousands of dollars every time that happens. So please don't do that. Um, that would definitely hurt the company. This company where anytime on social media, somebody with an account over 1,000 followers says something bad, criticizes the company, that you have the street shitter who owns the company threatens to sue them. So, it seems like they may be having some problems, or this guy is just really highly strung. Mind you, know that nothing's going to happen to this guy because the government wants this. Yes, your government wants this. Yes, this administration has no problem with these things. They're not going to come down upon these companies. They're not going to say it's an invasion of privacy because it's a private company, bro, and they can do whatever they want. So just know, don't ever, ever, ever do that, because every time somebody blocks one of these cameras, it costs thousands of dollars for them to come out, and they have to check the camera and remove whatever somebody's put in front of it. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that there was a group of people, I believe they called themselves the Net Runners in London, that they had very similar safety cameras installed. And despite the fact that these terrorists hate community safety, they went out and were cutting them down, which is not advisable as these cameras are often insured. But it did cost the city enough money to eventually they gave up on the project. And it would be terrible if such a company looking after Americans' best interests was forced to go bankrupt trying to unblock their cameras from balloons.
Yeah, the one of the things I really want to inject in this conversation is, especially for a lot of the younger guys who weren't there, during the Great Scare after 9/11 or what have you, and then we had the whole Edward Snowden and WikiLeaks and whatnot like this. I mean, we know that the government has been spying on people for a very, very long time in a myriad of different ways. And we also know that this increase in spyware and whatnot has not made us safer in any way. Okay. All the stuff as it relates to TSA hasn't prevented a single airplane hijacking or death, anything like that. It's just making all of our travel horrible, and is just a. God, do you guys remember last year when they were trying to pass that big beautiful bill? They were trying to take out the provisions for TSA. The Trump administration is like, oh, we have to force it back in because it's an institution that we must protect. Basically, a jobs program for a bunch of negresses, to be working and patting people down or what have you. But it's just very, very frustrating that people still fall for these arguments of, well, these flock cameras will help us with things like mass deportations, for example, or cut down on crime or what have you. But it's like, listen here, man.
Oh,
like,
we'll be talking about that.
Yeah, we absolutely will be talking about that. But it's like, guys, we know how this game is played. We are living in an anarcho tyranny here. Okay. The administration, this one or the next one or the ones after that, okay, they already have all the tools that they need right now to fix the crime in all of our major cities. We know who's committing the crime. There are guys who have rap sheets 200 miles long with like 300 different offenses, right? we know how to fix the problem here. You think like crime is like a brand new invention in 2026 or something? Like we don't know how to deal with it, as if humanity hasn't been dealing with crime for hundreds of thousands of years. Like, really? This is just clown world to say that we actually need these to feel safer. And in addition to that, right, we saw what happened after most recently in 2020, the great riots all throughout the country. We had thousands upon thousands of hours of video footage of people burning down businesses, just assaulting people, shooting people. People got killed. None of these people were brought to justice in any way. But come January 6th, the entire intelligence apparatus was hunting down all the people who took a stroll into the Capitol and completely upended and destroyed their lives. Okay? We know how this game is played. Why are people still like trying to justify this and saying, oh, we're going to get mass deportations this way? It's like, guys, you are out of your mind if you think that installing these flock cameras around every street corner is somehow going to up the amount of mass deportations that we're going to get.
Austin was a early adopter on this, and as soon as they installed them, crime went up.
It's just, we know what happens here, guys. We know how this game is played. This is just another one of these ridiculous AI Dubro tech companies that is hyper inflated because they get all these like government kickbacks or what have you to install these various cameras and these various programs. Okay. They're just trying their absolute best to keep this economy up on stilts, basically, but prevent it from falling apart. We'll get to that shortly as well. It's just so shameful seeing people try to get us locked into an even more intrusive surveillance state. I mean, like seriously, what's going to happen if the government decides, oh, we're going to have another COVID style lockdown, or we're going to start hunting down people who post things on the internet. We can plot out their entire movements with these flock cameras, and we don't need a warrant for it. It just none of this is good. None of it whatsoever.
Quick correction, chat caught it for me. I said it was the net runners in London. They were in fact the blade runners in London were responsible for destroying the wonderful safety system they were trying to put in.
Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling were on the case as well. All right. So, and anything more that we have to say on these flock cameras before we tie it into a couple other stories that this is all wrapped up in? I mean,
the reason these exist and the reason why your government is not going to say anything about it is because of it started with the Patriot Act. And people were like, save us from the Muslims who are going to fly planes into our buildings and they're going to keep doing it. No, you can do whatever you want. I mean, we have it because people live in fear.
Mind you,
that's it. And we're ruled by psychopaths who, I'll leave it at that.
Mind you, Flock is very paranoid about their privacy. They don't put their name up on their buildings, so they aren't identifiable. They have harsh security, ensuring that none of the employees can be filmed. So they get privacy.
Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. Yeah. The other thing here too is that if I was to take a charitable interpretation of this, right? When people say, oh, we need to cut down on crime in our cities, we need to cut down on illegal aliens, we need to cut down on all these various issues that they claim are going to help with these cameras, right? The hard reality is that the technology isn't going to fix the actual problems with the country, okay? It's not going to enforce new social order, social norms, or bring back communities, or bring back families, or bring back Christian morality, or any of these things that are actually going on that is actually sick with the people of the country. We're not going to be able to tech our way out of this. We actually are going to have to do the hard work and build up our communities and build up our networks of trust literally from the ground up, because they've been basically ripped out root and stem. I don't want to actually live in a world where I just at the click of a button, I could find some guy who's guilty of a crime and immediately throw him into prison. Now, even though that would provide me a little bit of security in some way, the other thing that provides me security is just having a Glock in my house. Basically, I'd much rather live in that world than this digital panopticon, going from Bentham, right? It's like, no, I don't like it. not in the American spirit whatsoever, in blatant violation of the Fourth Amendment. And no doubt it will be abused by the people who will, if not in this regime, certainly the next regime, or the next people who come into power, rather.
And for our audience's reference, this wonderful map that you see on screen can be found at dflock.org, where you too can put in your address and find out where your flock cameras are and ensure that you're safe.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Contribute to the database. It's like, do you remember, God, what was it? Was it Waze, I think was the one back in the day where you could drop like where a cop is sitting, like on the corner, and warn people. It's like, hey, there's a cop here in a speed trap, you know?
Yeah. You know where Waze is run out of?
Is it Israel? Tell me it's not
Yep.
Israel.
Israel.
No! Well, why don't we get into the next topic then, Pete? There you go. You brought it very nice dovetail indeed to the next topic. So, man, this one, yeah, we were talking before we went live on this one. It's like, well, like, can we even really be mad anymore? Can we even really be surprised anymore that this kind of stuff is happening just so blatantly in the open? Okay. And of course, we're talking about the merging of the United States and Israeli intelligence services. So here we go. Okay. Doug, you wanted to go off on this one. The floor is yours, sir.
Oh shit, I was muted. All right.
Oh, damn, you were muted.
Yeah,
Rip.
yeah.
All right, restart.
So, side note, every year, because the founders believed that we had standing armies were tyrannical, every year we go through this charade of reauthorizing the military so that we can pretend that it's not a standing army for the sake of I'm not even sure what. So, let's just get right into reading it. So, this is section 219, United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. So this is the first part, and we'll get to the second part in a moment. Establishment, the Secretary of Defense shall designate executive agent, as such term is defined, blah, 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 responsible for synchronizing cooperative efforts between the United States and Israel to expand and accelerate bilateral defense technology research, development, testing, evaluation, integration, industrial cooperation. So first thing is there's a plenipotentiary is going to be created that will have power to direct this entire industrial cooperation, as they like to say. This is I'm sure they'll find Jonathan Pollard. He would be eligible for this still, wouldn't he? I think he still has U.S. citizenship. They could just get him to do it because this was his old job anyways. So what is he going to do? Identify jointly developed or Israeli origin technologies with operational utility for potential integration into United States systems and programs of record, ensuring collaborative research initiatives involving government, private sector, and academic institutions in Israel is done in a manner that protects sensitive technology information and national security interests of the United States and Israel, facilitating the transition of technologies from research and development into procurement and acquisition pathways. That's important. We'll get back to that. Establishing frameworks for joint ventures, licensing agreements in United States-based co-production or manufacturing partnerships with Israeli industry. Coordinating with relevant Department of Defense components, including a bunch of different people. Promoting joint training exercises and information sharing mechanisms to ensure operational readiness to deploy jointly developed technologies. The synchronized cooperative efforts may be carried out through the following domains: counter unmanned systems, including aerial, maritime, and ground platforms, anti-tunneling and subterranean threats, missile and air defense technologies, artificial intelligence, quantum machine learning, and autonomous systems, directed energy and advanced sensing, cyber defense, electronic warfare, digital resilience, biotechnology, biomanufacturing, medical defense, network integration, data fusion, contested logistics, defense industrial based cooperation, manufacturing, co-production, other emerging technologies as jointly agreed by the United States and Israel.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Right, which that last one's rather important because what is an emerging technology? Well, if you're doing research on something, it's an emerging technology. So everything. So what this is going to do is this is just going to allow Israel into every single research department, and it'll get into DARPA, it'll get into academic agency institutions were noted there as well. So there's going to be no such thing as U.S. national secrets on the research side because Israel is going to have full access to them. What does Israel give us in return for this? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Another important part to mention in that is I talked about the procurement, transitioning into procurement and acquisition pathways, joint ventures and licensing agreements. Well, Israel doesn't produce anything but sand. I mean, that's changed a little bit in the most recent years as they're starting to spool up some more in-house production for various things. But for the most part,
Well, I
Israeli
mean, they got all those pornography companies. Who doesn't want to be involved in those? You know, like come on.
for the most part, what Israeli defense industry looks like is Boeing makes something, they slap a Star of David on it, and then call it Israeli. So what's going to end up happening here is they're going to middleman the military industrial complex. So instead of the U.S. giving Israel money, who then uses that money to buy U.S. goods, Israel's just going to have full control of the manufacturing and production process, including inside of the United States, where many of their large defense contractors already have factories. So we're just going to give Israel control over our military factories, and then they're going to sell it back to us.
This is just so unbelievable. Excuse me. This is just so absurd on his face. Like if I was playing a map game or strategy game, if I was playing Warhammer, if I was playing Civ, playing Rome Total War, anything like this, right? And this like diplomatic deal came across my desk. There's literally nobody that I would ever agree to with this, like ever, under any circumstances. This is just complete and utter clown world. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna give a country that the majority of the American population absolutely despise, that just dragged us into another useless war for them, which the Israelis just announced this week that no, we want nothing to do with the American operation, special operation in Iran. It's like, oh great, so the Israelis won't even want to die for Israel. It's amazing.
Just understand that we can't get our own intelligence agencies to share information, yet now Israel is going to have access to all of it.
Oh, that's part two. We haven't gotten to part two yet.
Okay.
Oh God, get into part two. It's even worse.
Okay, so part two, that comes out of this is section 219 of the National Defense Authorization Act, which we just read. Over here, this is going through the Senate currently. This is the Intelligence Authorization Act. And now you may be saying, what do these two have to do with each other? Well, last year, the Intelligence Authorization Act never passed. This is very similar to national defense, although just for intelligence, it's authorizing their budget. What they do is they pass the National Defense Authorization Act, and then it goes into reconciliation, and then they just add in the Intelligence Authorization Act, and then they blindly pass that. So this is not going to get voted on. This is just going to get inserted sometime later. And within here, we have section 622, the United States-Israel Intelligence Sharing Enhancement. So the first part's just a bunch of gibberish about how Israel is our greatest ally, and it's really important, and we have to make sure that they have access to all of our intelligence at all times. So now we get down to the important part, which is intelligence sharing with Israel. In general, the president, acting through the Director of National Intelligence and, as necessary, the Secretary of Defense, shall, subject to applicable law and the protection of intelligence sources, expand and enhance intelligence sharing with the government Israel. Scope of intelligence sharing. Intelligence sharing carried out under this subsection shall include the sharing of information relating to cybersecurity threats, terrorism, sanctions invasion, plans and intention of state and non-state actors, adversarial technology proliferation, missile threats, unmanned aerial system, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles. It goes on and on. Limitations on reduction of intelligence sharing. In general, intelligence sharing and related security information exchanges with the government of Israel shall not be suspended, reduced, or otherwise material limited except on the basis of a specific and identifiable national security concern determined by the president, such as the protection of intelligence sources and methods, counterintelligence, risks, or other significant security considerations.
So basically nothing, because the president of any administration is a slave to Israel. So basically nothing.
Correct. And importantly, we already do intelligence sharings with many countries, such as famously Five Eyes, which
Yep.
is Five Eyes are all the Anglo nations, so we at least have something in common with them. But Five Eyes does not dictate that basically they shall have access to information unless you can find a reason not to give it. We're just very free with the back and forth. And in fact, they recently cut off Canada because they've been giving too many things to the Chinese. And so now we're just going to, we basically are on a shall issue intelligence to Israel unless somebody can go to the president himself and have him sign a directive.
Who has a history of giving our secrets, who Israel has a history of giving our secrets to our biggest enemies, the Soviet Union, China, whatever, whomever.
Right.
So already an unreliable ally with secret information already. And this is what's just so amazing about this, right? Is like the identifiable national security concern determined by the president. We already know back from the Trump first administration about how the intelligence services over here already just lied to the president on like what is going on in the Middle East, for example, like how many troops we have over there. So we know that the deep state and the national security apparatus could easily just not tell the president about any of these things, and he would never know about this stuff to actually go against like Israel poking their nose around in certain places. In addition to that as well, like, do we seriously think that as soon as we open up this Pandora's box to Israel, is that they're not going to immediately find a way to, like put bugs basically on every single one of, they're going to find backdoors to get into all of our shit basically, and there's no way to think that they won't.
Well,
no reason to think not.
The NSA already collects it all, so now the NSA is just going to hand that database over to Israel. And I mean, these are the people who famously illegally spied on the Trump campaign, so we know that the nominal laws don't really restrict what they can and can't do, but at least there's nominal restrictions on it. This is legalizing Israeli blackmail against our politicians and other Americans.
And it also takes away, if you did have a president that wanted to exercise their Article 2 powers, this basically, when it comes to intelligence, they are completely locked out of saying we can't share this with them. Well, Article 2 now, anything that any Article 2 power that a president would seek to take when it comes to our intelligence is saying, no, we cannot share this with them. That he would have to go to, he or she probably in the future would have to go to Congress and explain to them why. And Congress is going to be sitting there with their pockets full of Jewish money going, yeah, no, fuck off.
Yeah.
Go away.
Well, is all the blackmail in the world, on these various politicians who are complete and total degenerates, as we know. So, yeah.
This is detrimental to our friends because despite all of our consternations, there are many patriots inside of the intelligence apparatus and the Pentagon and what have you, who have been fighting tooth and nail to resist the efforts of Israeli takeover. And in their bureaucratic fights, they're now about to just get completely bulldozed. Like, there's no opportunities for George Kennan's, there's no opportunities for Joseph McCarthy's. That's all gone.
Yeah, the other thing I have to say about this too is the arguments I'm seeing from people to downplay this, basically because we were mentioning right at the start about how using the term merging isn't quite what the bill here actually has in mind, right? And then people try to walk things back and say like, oh well, you see, none of this actually matters because the Senate isn't actually going to pass this, and even though it went through the House and excuse B and excuse A and excuse Z, all through the lines here. I mean, just think about this in the actual broader geostrategic sense of what is happening right now in the world. Okay, Israel knows, they've said it themselves. Netanyahu has said it himself on TV, saying that they are losing the younger generations in the United States. Everybody knows this. Look at all the polls, look at all the memes, talk to any person in the United States under age 40, and all of them basically want us to cut all military aid to Israel, stop funding them, stop associating with them, stop being allies with them. And the Israelis, they're not stupid. They see this coming down the pipeline. And do you think that just, all of a sudden, they just decided today, they're like, oh, well, we actually need to merge the intelligence apparatuses of Mossad and America. It's a Wednesday. We just need to do this right now. It's like, no, they see where the pieces on the board are. They need to get this in now. So in the future, when a new administration comes along who is voted in by an increasingly aggravated base in America who's upset with Israel, that this is a way that they're going to get around people sending them money. The foxes are already in the hen house, is what they're trying to do.
Well, right, because as I mentioned earlier, in particularly under the National Defense Authorization Act, the Arno Milchan Act, Israel is going to be progressively small at first, but progressively take over the entire military-industrial complex. Not that they'll ever be actually producing things, but they will have many companies and subsidiaries who, according to that, are going to basically get priority on research and procurement contracts, and then they can rehire the white guys to make the stuff for them and slap their logo on it. And then the US is going to have to buy those products from Israel. So instead of us giving them free stuff, we have to go begging with our checkbook to get it from them.
While they're selling it to China and while they're selling it to every country that hates us.
Yeah. I mean,
because they're open to do that, because this opens them up to do that. This isn't panicking. We're reading the fucking thing here. I mean, any truthster who is, yeah, and the worst. I mean, and I'll say this again. I know I've said it before. The worst thing about the truthsters is not that they truced. I have no problem with that. But part of truthing is attacking us who sit here, read it, know exactly what it says, and we go, this is exactly what it's setting up. And then they have to attack us. Where you can truth all you want, and I don't need to attack you. I think you're retarded. But I mean, I think a lot of people are retarded. I mean, I have people in my family who are retarded. It doesn't mean I don't want to see them ever again, but it's the fact that you have to attack us because that's part of whatever deal you've made in your group chats or whoever you're taking money from.
That's the other thing too. This is like the cynical part of me that's saying this. It's like other people who are allegedly on the online right and who a year ago, if they tried to say on their timelines that, oh, well, you see, the United States should actually go to war with Iran, okay? And on top of that, we should merge our security apparatuses and the military industrial complex with Israel. If anybody had said this on their timelines a year ago, they would have been immediately laughed out of the room and kicked out of any circle. But because these idiots have basically put themselves into their own little retarded feedback loop group chats, basically, It's like, oh no, you see, like if anyone's freaking out about this, actually, those people are panicans. Those people are black pillars. Those people are anti-Trump, and you don't want to listen to those people. It's just these fucking faggots are trying to take out their competition. That's exactly what all this shit is. They are hedging their bets. So when this thing does pass and into the future, when the next administration comes in and puts all of us basically in the crosshairs, we were just talking about these flock cameras 5 seconds ago, okay? Do you think that there's not going to be some intelligence sharing going on between these flock cameras, tracking everybody's movements, tracking, I mean, we've already had issues with Twitter verification that they were sent through a Mossad-based company, were they not? I think there was something to that degree, when you set up a verification on Twitter or what have you, when they do a background check on you. It's like, come on, guys. They put 2 and 2 together here. Think ahead.
I don't know about you, Patriots, but I celebrated our wonderful federal holiday on June 19th when the Rosenbergs were executed.
Yeah.
The horrifying thing about this National Defense Authorization Act is that that would no longer be possible, because if this was around when the Rosenbergs were doing what they were doing, Israel would have simply taken the nuclear secrets and sold them to the Soviet Union, and it all would have been perfectly legal. And as we know, legalizing crime doesn't make it more moral, and it doesn't make the perpetrators any less culpable. In fact, it makes the people who legalize the crime are themselves culpable for every crime committed under it. And so I would see the politicians responsible for this deserve no less than the Rosenbergs.
Here, here. I mean, again, like how many times do we have to talk about George Washington's farewell address and not getting entangled in these foreign alliances? Like this is just so unbelievably beyond the pale. Do you think the founding fathers would have wanted to attach our military secrets to the fucking French or the British? Like, God.
Every Republican in the House, except for the guy that they spent $35 million to unseat, voted yes for this. Every Republican, with the exception of one. But he isn't strong enough on the borders, and we don't have a country. We basically don't have a foreign policy anymore if this goes through. I mean, because how can we? How can we? This is a country that, no matter what you think, no matter what you want to believe, they hate us.
Yeah.
And they want to destroy us. They want to destroy the West. They want to destroy, I mean, there really isn't a West anymore, but they want to destroy Christendom, which is the West. That's why they flood it with evil fucking people who will rape your fucking, when they're not raping your daughters. They flood the fucking West with people who will, and then make it illegal for you to say anything about that.
George Washington would have been abhorred to see us do something like this with the British, who are Anglo brothers, or France, as you mentioned, who are also at least a white Christian country. We're doing this with a bunch of nons in a desert shithole.
It's just so unbelievably beyond the pale, and it's so frustrating to me when people try and, again, like try and downplay how bad this actually is, especially for all of us here on the online right who are trying to make, inroads into saving our country, right? We're like the only serious people, right? The fucking Republican Party is just selling us out everywhere we go, right? I mean, people should know better about these things. And to see people who, again, like I was mentioning, if any of them were taking the same positions, even like 6 months ago or a year ago, that they're taking today, would be immediately laughed out of the room and called all kinds of names, deservedly so. But now there are people who are just going on there saying, well, you see, actually, this doesn't merge our militaries entirely, and Israel is only slightly sticking their cock in our ass. They're not going full thrust. No, come on, guys. What's going on? You guys are blackpilling, okay? They're not actually fully ramming us in our anus. No. God, I hate these people so much, man.
And notice you're even seeing, a couple of them backpedaling now. We're not going to fucking forget.
No, I certainly won't be. No way. Absolutely not. These people are going to try and slither their way back in like the snakes that they are. I'm trying to be like, oh, well, guys, but we see which way the wind is blowing now. And now that the midterms are over, and now that the Republicans have just taken it up the ass because we started this retarded war for the Israelis. We can't get mass deportations done. The administration's about to grind to a halt. Well, let's go back into the base guys and the online right guys to try and save what little of our credibility we have left. It's like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Yeah, and again, this is going to be a good transition, unless you have anything more you want to read from this, Doug. I think we got the gist of it.
No, I think we're good.
All right. Well, why don't we transfer into the mass deportations stuff, because this was the line that we heard from people dating back all the way to Operation Midnight Hammer, dating back to what was going on with Venezuela, dating back to this latest exchange with Iran. It's just, well, guys, you see, if we give them the foreign policy wins, we're going to get the domestic policy wins too, thinking that these things do not have any connection whatsoever, which is obvious bullshit. You only have so much political capital you could spend. I was listening to Richard Barris and Mark Mitchell the other day, and they were going over some of the new polling data as it relates to like the MAGA coalition or what have you. And it just shows that the only people who have actually increased their support of the MAGA coalition are basically Fox News boomers. And then everybody else under the age of 50, a lot of people have just jumped ship, because we didn't sign up for this. We didn't sign up for a new war for Israel, right? It's so obvious. Anyway, so the political capital basically to get mass deportations done has taken a serious dent. Especially because we've wasted all of this capital on a retarded war for the Israelis that we're now basically stuck in because, Donald Trump and the administration refuses to have this thing look like a loss for them, because it is a loss. We've covered it on the show many times. Like, we basically got our asses handed to us in this war because, we can't get rid of them. We cannot make the Iranians actually come to the table without having a ground invasion force, and we're not going to do that. So basically, we're screwed. We could blow up all we want. It doesn't matter. All they need is a couple $1,000 drones, and they can blow up some oil tankers. And just the balance of power here is just ridiculous. It's not even what have you. But why am I talking about this kind of stuff? Well, I'm talking about this because we have the new numbers as it relates to the deportations. We're going to read this right here. New ICE data dump reveals the agency has carried out 356,000 deportations so far in fiscal year 2026, which began October 1st. That averages out to roughly 1,260 per day. ICE currently has 65,000 people in ICE detention, almost 40,000 of whom, which 60%, have criminal convictions or pending criminal charges. The data also confirms border czar Tom Homan's recent statements that June saw a record-setting number of immigration arrests with 43,000 arrests, which is much higher than January and February when the surge in Minnesota was in effect. July is on pace to potentially break the June record. So, this is the thing that's so frustrating about this, right? Because it's like, okay, well, we're looking at this. It's like, wow, amazing. The ICE numbers and the deportation numbers are up quite a little bit. It's like, well, they are up from definitely where they've been in recent numbers. But is this actually on pace for where we want to be and what we actually need done in this country? So let's just see. We're halfway through the year here, basically 356,000 deportations. That's not even 1 million a year. So, I mean, if we want to sit around and pat ourselves on the back and say, oh, well, we've got these deportations that are ramping up quite a bit. And then if you look at the comparison with the deportations that we had last year versus the ones that we've gotten this year now, because we passed that one great big beautiful bill, and ICE now has more funding than entire European countries' armies, is what we were heard. That was the line that people were throwing at us last year, is that ICE now is one of the most heavily armed militaries in the entire world thanks to this bill. And has it had a increase in deportations to match that? I don't think anybody who's serious can really make that argument here. And basically what this comes down to, like what I was talking about political capital, right, is that the base actually wants mass deportations. That was Trump's #1 electoral mandate, was to secure the demographics of the United States and deport all of the legal immigrants. But again, we were covering this during the election, right? It's like, no matter how many times CNN and Fox News and MSNBC and all these people tried to twist their polling a little bit to say, oh, well, what kind of immigrants do you want deported? it was still the vast majority of Americans wanted all illegal immigrants deported, not the ones with just criminal records, all illegals deported. That's almost 50 million people at least, basically, at this point. Okay. That was what they were elected to do. They cannot do that now because the world economy is teetering on the edge of a knife because of this retarded war for the Israelis in Iran that the Israelis just announced this week. No, we are not interested in fighting along with the Americans and risking Israeli lives in the American-Iranian special operation. They literally just said Israel doesn't want to die for Israel. Fuck you guys. You lie us into a war. The world economy is teetering on the edge of a knife. And now, because to actually make the mass deportation numbers that we need in this country to get where we want to be, they have to start raiding work sites. They have to start punishing businesses that employ illegal immigrants. And guess what? That is going to make the economic situation untenable. They will not do it. The Trump administration does not want the housing market to crash, does not want the AI tech bubble to burst, does not want the economy to take a huge dip. It's just like these are all connected issues, okay? And it's just so frustrating to people who say, like, oh, well, with these people, you win. If we give them the win on foreign policy, we'll get what we want domestically. That never happens. It has never happened. Ugh. Went on a nice rant there.
Yeah.
Take it away, gentlemen.
I mean, broken record here over here. Yeah, ICE needs to be out there. The people they need to be deporting are the most violent people and tracking them down, because the only way to get these people to leave is to make life unlivable for them here. You have to, I can't believe I'm saying this again. You have to make it so that businesses make it illegal for businesses to hire these people, to the point that you take the business away from them and you auction it to somebody else. You make it illegal for anyone to house them, to the point where we're going to take your apartment building. We're going to take your house. We'll friggin' nationalize this stuff. We'll give it to the city or whatever. You have to cut all aid to them. If somebody is bleeding out and they're illegal and they go to the fucking hospital, you say, no, you cannot be. That's the only way this gets done. It's the only way this gets done. Yeah, ICE needs to be out there gathering up people that you know will not leave no matter what. But you must if you want mass, they have to self-deport. And the only way you're going to do that is to make life unlivable for them. To basically make it so that create a culture that when anyone sees them, they look upon them as a leper. They treat them like lepers.
Yeah, you have to cut them off. You got to cut them off of all government-sponsored funding. You have to cut them off of the hospitals. You have to cut them off of the schooling. You have to cut them off of business loans. You have to tax remittances. You have to do all of these things, okay, to actually get to where we need to get to, okay? I am done with people pissing on me and trying to tell me it's rain, okay? This has been happening for months now, okay? It is amazing that the southern border is more or less completely closed. It is amazing that we are getting basically, 750,000 deportations a year, if I'm going to be charitable, okay? It's cool that we're getting those, all right? It's cool that some of our guys have got employment in ICE and are learning some tactics on how to deport people and conduct immigration raids or what have you and all that stuff, okay? All that stuff is awesome, but it's entirely insufficient from where we need to be. Okay. It's just like,
and also,
yeah.
I mean, here, just start with this. No remittances.
Yeah, they can't even do that.
I mean, it's the only thing that this government will not fucking tax. They tax everything. If you want to build on your own land, you have to get a fucking permit. But they won't tax remittances. They won't tax them 95% or 100%. I mean, come on, give me a fucking break here. They don't want these people out of here. This just basically seems like a show at this point.
They keep trying to do this walk the tightrope thing where they want to appeal to the actual base of the Republican Party, who are boomers, who all their money is trapped in asset bubbles. And I'm sorry, but all these asset bubbles have to pop if we are ever going to actually fix the problems underlying our economy, okay? This economy is fake. It's artificial. It's propped up by cheap labor in foreign countries and those that we import over here. It's propped up by bullshit financial markets that don't produce any actual real products, and it's just people funneling money away to avoid it being taxed. in one way or another. Okay, the entire economy is fake. And they don't want it to fucking crash and burn, because then people are going to say, oh, well, Trump crashed the economy. And it's like, now, if you actually sat down with people and said that, listen here, I mean, this is why a lot of us have sung quite a bit of praise for Rupert Lowe, to be honest, because the guy just tells it like it is. It's like, listen here, we're in a really bad way. We're going to have to suffer a little bit, but we're going to have to buckle down. We're going to have to take on this heroic journey as men, and we're going to have to deal with the hard times and these problems that need to be addressed. And the Republican Party refuses to do that. All their donors will lose a great big chunk of their money if this economy takes a tank. And it has to. The economy has to crash in order for the issues to actually be fixed. We cannot live this way anymore. We cannot live this way of every 10 years the business cycle comes through and we have a giant burst in the economy. Okay, we had a huge one in the 90s with the dot-com bubble. We had a huge one in 2008 with the great financial crisis. We had another one that was brought on by COVID, which was entirely made up just so they could rig an election in 2020, and so a couple boomers could eke out a few more months because of a bad flu season. And now we're on the teetering edge of another one of these bursts. They're coming quicker and quicker now. Okay, another one of these bubbles is about to burst with this giant AI inflation. Which, like, people can listen to my streams I've done with Aaron Clary and Chad Elkins on his channel, the Elkins Accounting Hour, where we've talked about AI in great depth. And I'm like, listen here, man. At the very, very least, it's amazing when you listen to these boomers. They think like 85% of jobs are going to be replaced by AI in a couple of years. I'm looking at this like, have you guys ever used AI once? It's like, are you kidding me? What does like Ford Motor Company need AI for? What does like your local like tax office need like fucking AI for? Like, this is just ridiculous how everybody is injecting this shit in here. It's like, I go to fucking Hilton Honors, like, for the hotel service, and they're talking about, like, AI or some shit. It's like, why? Why? What do you need this stuff in here for? And it's just to artificially inflate all these ridiculous dude bro tech companies that are just getting fat on government contracts and the government dime. It's like, this bubble's going to burst. There'll be, like, 2 or 3 companies that make it out in the end, and they will probably have a very niche application and use in very particular fields. Okay? It's just so frustrating because we know the actual problems that are facing the young people in this country, who are the future voter base of, Democrat or Republican. And it's just very, very aggravating to see how the left is just prime. It's just like prime time for them to come in and fight on all of these issues that actually affect real people. Even though the leftists, if Kamala Harris was president right now, right, she would be giving Israel everything she wants to. Okay, like, let's not delude ourselves with that. But this is a very easy rhetorical tactic for the left to come in the midterms and in the next election coming up, just to say, well, look what happened. You put the Republicans in charge and they give all of our money away to Israel. We start another war and the economy sucks. Vote for the left. And it's like, the Republicans do it to themselves, man. They do it to themselves.
While you gentlemen were talking, I whipped out that nifty little device that got me banned from the Holocaust Memorial, my calculator. And just to put these numbers in perspective, let's be very generous, 356,000. Let's say that's only half a year. It's not. There's only a few months left in fiscal year, but we'll say it's half. That's 712,000 every year. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics captured 45 million coming in under Biden. So 45 million divided by 712,000, 63 years is what it would take to deport just the Biden wave.
We're so back, baby.
Because we're being negative on a live stream, that means that Trump can't do his job, right?
Oh my God. Yep. The OGC has such amazing power. We have cratered the Trump administration's ability to mass deport more people, guys.
We're churning out and being panicans on a live stream. That means that Trump cannot do his job.
Yeah. What a fucking joke, man. An absolute fucking joke. Well, it's like, again, I'm happy. I'm happy that all of these people are no longer in my country. Okay. There's just not remotely enough of them. And it's like, listen here, man. We all knew what time it was. We all knew what time it was before the election in 2024. We knew what needed to be done. There was an opportunity that we had where we could have done what needed to be done. And unfortunately, the Trump administration had many opportunities to pull the trigger, and they didn't do it. Okay. And now it's too late. Now it's too late. The political capital has been squandered on this war. We just tried to get out of it, And apparently we got dragged right back into it because, through a combination of the fact that we can't stop the Israelis from constantly bombing the Lebanese because just Israel gets whatever the fuck it wants at all times, and the domestic situation over here, where the last people who were actually supporting the Trump administration on this war were turning tail and running because they're just all out Zionists and like, oh my God, you're going to try and make peace with the Ayatollah? You're going to try and make peace with the Iranians?
Mind you, Israel is not rejoining us in this endeavor.
Such a joke. It's literally like the small little guy who nobody likes goes into a bar, punches a guy in the face, and then immediately runs away and hopes for his friends to, figure out the situation. Meanwhile, he steals the friend's credit card and pays for his drinks on that guy's tab. So maddening. But hey, guys, we gotta simp for the administration a little bit more, and if we suck their dicks and become the Trump Defense Force on Twitter a little bit harder, then maybe we'll get what we want instead of actually organizing in real life and getting power, which is the only thing these people ever respond to.
It's how Franco won. Everyone sent him very nice letters, and then he won.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, all those podcasters in Spain shrooning out over Franco. Man, luckily Franco didn't listen to him and just did what he needed to do.
Yeah. Well, as frustrating as all of this is, okay, we still have another story to discuss. All right, and these are the new economic numbers as it relates to the American job market. This one was a doozy when I saw this. Number one, I didn't know the labor force participation rate was so low already, like as it is. But then when I saw these numbers, it was like how it's creeping up. It's like, holy fuck, the number is that high already, and it's gone even more. I mean, just take a look at this graph here, right? So this is not in labor force participation rates, right? And we're looking at that is hundreds of millions of people on the left-hand side of this graph right here, and of course on your other axis there, you've got the years. So if you look back. From basically till 1970, 1980, the line is pretty stable. The line dips up a little bit from between 1980 and 1990. We get to the dot-com bubble in the mid-90s, and the graph starts to shoot up. We start to get up a little bit higher and higher and higher, okay? 2001, after September 11th, it goes up even higher again, okay? War in Iraq, war in Afghanistan. We get to the 2008 financial crisis, okay? Here we go. Line goes up even more. You'll notice how it's just a never-ending trend of the line going up, right? In this regard, there's like no dips, like basically anywhere, right? We get all the way up to 2020, our huge spike because of COVID-19. It dips down just slightly afterwards because a couple more people were allowed to get back into the workforce after being told that you can't go to your job because grandma who's 99 and a half is going to die from a flu unless you stop going to your job, apparently. And then the line dips down just a little bit, but then we get to today. The war in Iran kicks off. The Trump administration comes back into office. We're not addressing any of the major economic crisis going on in the United States. And now the number of labor force people not in the labor force, 100 million people, which is by the official statistics of the United States, well, of course, we got to see what the census says in the end, right? But that's approaching 1/3 of the population of the United States. That's what, 25, 30%, of the population of the United States is just not looking for work, not working in the labor force. It's just crazy. So 100 million people, right? And now we're at above COVID levels. It's just,
somebody someone in the chat mentioned that and we need all these illegals and H-1Bs when people who are supposed to be here don't have a job. I mean, this is a controlled demolition. They're doing this on purpose. There's no other answer.
Yeah, it's can you just think of a more perfect line ever of we have 100 million immigrants in this country, either illegal or otherwise, and then we have 100 million people out of the workforce.
I don't know what y'all are complaining about. Line go up. Look at that. It's great. Line up.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, so again, it's just the more, how many rocks make a mountain here, guys? We're seeing all this evidence. We just saw news statistics that were coming out just the other day that it's now 4 in 10 people in between 20 and 30 are living with a parent. It's like 40% of our young population are living at home because they can't afford rent, they can't afford a house. The housing market, we have more people age 40 buying homes than people age 20 for the first time ever. It's just insane. I hear reports and stories from all of our guys throughout various OGC chapters who are struggling to find jobs, go through 4 rounds of interviews, and then get told, oh, well, you're not getting this job. But look, guys, the stock market's at an all-time high. Fuck all of you.
And then you'll have people say, well, you just got to give Trump time to get done, do what he goes. I mean, the midterms are coming up. I mean, I'm not 100% convinced that the midterms are going to be as bad as they historically are for the incumbent. But if it is, I mean, well, what you're basically like, say the Republicans lose the House, you're gonna have 2 years of hyper lawfare and all sorts of committees being called to bring this person in front. What are you going to be able to get done?
Literally nothing except more foreign ventures.
Or it's just more of the same.
Yeah.
And if it's more of the same of what we're having now, I mean, even if gains are made and the country is better in 2028 than it was in 2024, whoever gets elected can reverse that all like on the first day.
Yeah.
We know what.
Let me just say one more thing. From somebody that I trust who's been down to the border, the southern border is not closed. And most of the people who are walking over it are Chinese. I'm not one of these China hawk people. I mean, I know China's a dangerous fucking country if they decide they want to be worse than they are right now.
Yeah, we're gonna get to China later here in a moment.
But the border is not closed.
If the admin continues on this track, they are going to lose the midterms because of all this bullshit. And if they lose the midterms, there's a good chance that Trump could get impeached. He would be the first president removed from office. And I don't know about you, I don't actually want that. That would be not great for us. And I can't think of anything more treacherous to Trump than walking him into this death trap.
Again, it's just the same things we've been saying all the time with this, man. It's like we're not pointing out these things because we like have like some case of like TDS, like some like faggoty leftists or something like that, right? We're doing this because we see the mistakes being made, and everybody else is just interested in blowing smoke up people's asses in order to get 1 inch closer to Washington D.C. so they get their ego stroked and maybe get like some kind of permanent job at one of these like think tanks. It's just so shameful how people are behaving, but just like for their own ego and their own self-interest and their own wants to be influencers or what have you, or to be important. They're just pushing this thing along. The mistakes are here. We can all see them. They are easily avoidable. We can do the hard things that need to be done to save this country, to save the youth, to save the people of this country that actually matter. And we just keep stepping on landmines time and time and time again, to the point where we're just standing here like, okay, like, the TDS arguments are actually starting to make even more and more sense now. It's like, no, originally I wouldn't really give a shit if Don Jr. like, basically through fraudulent means, like pumped and dumped a shit coin, basically. Like, I under normal circumstances, I wouldn't really give a shit about that kind of stuff. I wouldn't really care that the administration is charging $50,000 just to get into a meeting with Donald Trump. And it's like, okay, like under normal circumstances, I don't really give a shit about that. Like if you were actually doing things in my interest, I understand like wheels need to be greased and people, there has to be some corruption in the system. But man, like when you really look down to it, this Trump administration, as it relates to like embezzling money and being like corrupt, is like really, really high, and it's really up there. And it's like, I wouldn't care if we were actually getting things that we wanted, But now it's like the chickens are going to eventually come home to roost on this one, whether it's after these midterms and potentially an impeachment comes or in 2028 afterwards. It's like, it's going to be really, really hard to be here, be like on the Trump defense force at that point, because it's like, well, dude, like, what did you do? We handed you the electoral majority that Republicans up to the point in 2024 haven't seen since Nixon or Reagan. It's like, we delivered that to you. We worked so hard. Like, people have given up everything for Donald Trump in the last 10 years since he descended the golden escalator. People have lost their families, they've lost their marriages, they've lost their jobs, they've lost their social connections. Some people, like Charlie Kirk, have fucking died. It's like, people have given everything to the Trump administration over the last 10 years. And it's like, what are we getting for it at the very end? It's so frustrating. And again, we're not saying this because like we're some like, die-in-the-wool, like secret, like libtards or something like this, and we want to be part of Trump derangement syndrome. But just like, guys, like, this guy is going to leave the scene sooner as opposed to later, like whether it's through the midterms, whether they can inch their way by and just like, I don't know, like lazily, like, basically lame duck his way through the rest of this presidency. And then we get into 2028 and then he's gone basically for forever from the political scene. It's like, time is running out, man.
If you aren't sounding the alarms about this, you're Decimus Brutus encouraging Caesar to go to the Senate today.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't. The only explanation that I have two explanations for why people are still like is so insanely trusting the plan that they're willing to attack other people and threaten other people, or say that the administration needs to crack down on podcasters, which basically means to arrest them or to destroy them financially, is what one particular scumbag implied.
Yeah,
more
debanking.
than implied.
Yeah, debanking podcasters.
but the only two things I could think is they're in this for themselves. It's complete self-interest, or they're so fucking scared of like troons and leftists that they just have to hang. This is like their only hope, which to me is delusional. You're delusional if you think you're somebody. I mean, Batman's not fucking the billionaire superhero. There's no fucking billionaire superheroes. You have to fucking do this yourselves, unless you're just such a fucking complete grifter that, like Red Hawk said, you're trying to get a position in a think tank somewhere or whatever, or whomever, or you're just, your friends won't be friends with you anymore. This scumbag who, like, that Tucker had on and Oren had on, this is a guy who is basically being paid to be hyper online and act like a Twitter troll in real life and say stupid shit like, well, you said that this could possibly start World War III. And because World War III hasn't started, why should anybody listen to what you have to say? Fuck you. Fuck you, you scumbag piece of shit. The guy is so low IQ, too. I mean, what's the craziest thing is, aren't these people supposed to have high IQs? He's a fucking idiot. He's a fucking idiot. Inbred shtetl scum.
Behind closed doors, the power player knows that this ship is going down, and they're trying to loot the treasury as quickly as they can before it does.
It's certainly what it looks like, from where I'm sitting. And, listen, like from the perspective, again, like I was saying earlier, it's like, listen, Donald Trump didn't have to step foot in this political arena. Okay. He didn't have to do this. He didn't have to become president. He could have just kept his job as Celebrity Apprentice on NBC and enjoy the rest of his life appearing in Zoolander movies and getting quoted by, other famous like celebrities and whatnot. Okay. And I understand from like this guy's perspective of my businesses have been destroyed, my families have been attacked, I've been subpoenaed by Letitia James, and I just had to pay out millions of dollars to E. Jean Carroll, who literally just lied about me in New York because New York is so corrupt, they're coming after me. Yeah, I'm gonna get mine. Yeah, we're gonna pump a shit coin. Yeah, we're gonna have Melania write a book. Yeah, we're gonna have a really shitty movie come out, and try and make a bunch of money that way. We're going to do a bunch of insider trading. We're going to get ours. We're going to secure our family's legacy, and then we're just going to get out. And it's like, from that perspective, I can understand. But also, that doesn't mean I have to agree with it, especially when I'm not actually getting what I want. Eventually, again, I keep saying this, man. It's like, there will be a day, and that day might be coming sooner than people think, where Donald Trump will not be in the position that he's in to secure his legacy. And that might come right after November in the midterms if the Republicans get a huge beating and then we start getting impeachment inquiries again. Or it might come in 2028 when he actually has to leave office. And then like it's just open season at that point. You can go right back to lawfare or Letitia James or whoever coming right up your ass once again. I mean, we know what these people are like. They're never going to stop. So, and then when that moment finally comes, if the legacy of the second Trump administration is, oh, well, we ran on not starting a new war, we ran on mass deportations, and we ran on fixing the economy, and we went 0 for 3 on all of those. And then it's going to be in the position where I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Am I supposed to be like, oh, Trump is like so great? Or am I going to have to be the guy who is left here to pick up the pieces and try and start an Americans first movement? And like, what are we going to do? If it's just like, I can actually see where some people are coming from in the Republican Party who are still trying to be like, not necessarily cuddled right up to Trump, because like after 2028, like, what are you going to do? Is there going to be anyone to appeal to, with Trump basically? Like the actual like people part of his base, like we're not getting what we wanted. We're not getting what we voted for. We're not getting what we expected. The donor class boomers are getting all the wealth in the economy right now. And all the Israelis are getting everything that way they want, and the Zionists by starting another new war. Meanwhile, the average American is getting screwed on all ends of the spectrum. We're importing illegals to work our jobs. We're importing Indians legally to work our jobs. We're outsourcing our jobs to other countries. We're bringing in AI to make it harder for people to work in business, work in white collar work. Gas is going up. Energy is going up. Utilities are going up. There's crime all over the place. Not enough people are being deported. It's like, who's going to stand on that legacy at that point? It's just, and it all could have been avoided. It all could have been avoided so many times over. It's just very, very frustrating. And it's very sad.
The good news is we have a bunch of white men who are young, healthy, eager, radicalized, don't have a lot of free time because they can't get a job, have a lot of free time because they can't get a woman, and nothing to lose.
Yeah, it's very true. The white pill here is that we're all we have, and we're also all we need. So
and those guys you're talking about there, Doug, the people we're talking about will be the first ones to try to get them arrested or turn them in, or they're just scum.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But victory is inevitable. History is on our side.
Yeah, at least there's that. At least there is that. The question just becomes like, how hard is the road going to be? And it looks like it's going the harder way, unfortunately. All right. Why don't we move on to our final story? Again, we're going to get on this one again. It's just, we're focusing on the wrong things here, guys. We're focusing on the wrong things of the administration. We got to talk about this address that the president had last week. They were actually talking about this while we were on stream last week, talking about Lindsey Graham. We had Kevin Deanna on the show. But the President Trump made this great big announcement showing that he has proof of the 2020 rigging that was going on during the election, and that the Chinese had access to over 280,000 voter registrations all throughout the country. It's like, this was the big problem with the 2020 election. And it's like, okay, where to start with this? Okay, again, we are not some scumbag, shit-eating, leftists here. who, want to say like, oh, 2020 actually wasn't stolen or anything like that. No, it's stupid. They obviously rigged the election. They obviously did it to get Donald Trump out of power. They changed a myriad of various election laws to the point where any normal person would say, oh, that's obviously cheating. But then the Democrats can sit back on their heels and say, well, actually, we changed the laws, so everything we did is actually legal. So, I mean, to any normal semblance of play fair, or election integrity, all of us would say this is cheating, but the Democrats changed the laws so they make their cheating legal. So, but like we were saying earlier, as Doug was pointing out, the legality of a law does not change the morality of it. Anyway, so we all know the 2020 election was stolen, okay? Do I believe that the Chinese had access to voter rolls and voter registrations in some way or another? Yeah, I believe that too. Do I believe that maybe they had a hand in, rigging votes in certain directions in certain key races? Yeah, I'm open to that idea as well, okay? But my biggest problem with this is, once again, we are not addressing the great big elephant in the room. And the great big elephant in the room here is that no matter how little or how great an effect the Chinese had on our foreign elections, okay, the biggest threat is the fucking Democrats that are stuffing ballots and throwing them in the mailbox or literally importing them via helicopter in races like with, God, what's that fucking Spencer Pratt? The Democrats are the problem here. It's not the fucking Chinese. It's not the fucking Russians. It's not the fucking Canadians. It's not anybody else but the fucking Democrats that are rigging our elections in the United States. So why are we talking about the goddamn Chinese here? Why are we focusing on this? And also, if this is like so amazing and so groundbreaking or what have you, does anybody think for a fucking second that any of the Republicans in the House or in the Senate are 1 inch closer to signing the SAVE Act because the Chinese have been found to be involved with our elections? It's like, what this looks like to me is a bunch of whinging and whining once again, calling for the Deus Ex Machina to come in and say, well, we need secure elections. It's like, motherfucker, you're the people in charge. You have to do this. You have to be the ones to secure the elections. You have to be the ones to secure the voter rolls. This is like literally step one to maintaining power going into the midterms here and in the presidential election going forward. Okay. If people on, the truthster side want to talk about how, oh, well, we actually need years and potentially decades to fix all the problems in this country. I'm like, okay, I could be somewhat sympathetic to that. I'm all for diversity of tactics. I've said it multiple times before. I could be open to that argument. But at the very least, if you're going to tell me that we need years and decades to fix the problems that are going on in this country, the number fucking one thing you need to solve is secure the elections. Prevent the Democrats from cheating. Prevent the Democrats from importing more voters. This is basic step, literally number one. And they cannot get it done. They cannot pass it. And while this seems like to me is more signaling towards China for us to go have another foreign adventure of some kind, even though we just got our asses handed to us in Iran. It's so frustrating. Again,
Well,
we know what needs to be done here, but we're signaling it in a way that, again, it's just whinging. Go ahead, Pete.
Well, what do they say is the whole rationale for all of these adventures outside of the country and not getting anything done domestically? Why do we arrest Maduro but not arrest Walz, the governor of Minnesota? Because you can't. He's not willing to do anything domestically. But if he says, "Oh, look over there," you can. It's easier for him to say it was a foreign power than to say, than to nail it down as something in this country, because apparently a president cannot do anything in this country. You can't, you can't arrest the mayor of Minneapolis. You can't arrest the mayor of the governor of Minnesota. You can't roll into whole neighborhoods and just start arresting criminals. You can't do anything. So, look over there, and at least we know the election was stolen in 2020, and we know it was the Democrats because they bragged about it in Time magazine. But no, because we can't get anything done here, or aren't willing to get anything done here, our hands are tied by the judges. No, look over there. There, those guys.
Well, if China stole our elections, the very minimum we should stop handing out visas to them, right?
Yeah, yeah. Stop having their students in our country, and like just again, it's the same thing I've been talking about before. It's just again trying to make an argument to appeal to the rules, and it's like, dude, like I swear to God, we just need to stick the populist delusion, and every single person who's running for politics, just stick that book in their hand. This is just like required reading for you, okay? You can't just sit here on the line asking for the ref to come in with the red card to intervene on your behalf. Basically, it's like you guys literally are the people in charge. You are the sovereign who makes the exception.
Well, we instead of appealing to a foreigner's book, we can appeal straight to our great American patriot Sam Francis, who wrote an entire essay on this called "Beautiful Losers," who
Yeah,
constantly appeal to proceduralism as why they're not able to get anything done. Not that the Democrats ever do, they just do shit. But, you
yeah.
know, we as the beautiful losers, conservatives, we have to do what the rules say, and the rules say we lose.
Pretty much, man. It's yeah. But again, like the other thing too is that if you fixate on China in this regard, this gives room for the Democrats to counteract and say that, oh well, the Chinese were actually only involved in this very narrowly defined outcome as it relates to this election. Like, let's just say, for example, like China had a hand in rigging the state election of like Washington or something, or like Seattle, like the mayor election in Seattle or something. The Chinese are in the Pacific. They have a lot of influence in Vancouver. Seattle's right there. Let's just go with that for the sake of the argument. Okay. Let's say like in that very niche circumstances, the Chinese were responsible for this. Okay. That's obviously bad. But then the Democrats can just go back and say, well, here's a very basic maneuver that doesn't actually address the issues with voter rules and the broader scope of fixing American elections on the local and the federal level. But they said that China's involved, so we're going to do a performative thing of making sure China doesn't do this again. And there you go, problem solved. It's like, no, this is not how these things work, man. This is not how these things work at all. You
E-
can't just appeal to, and this is also like how you know about this because Trump had this great big fucking speech on Thursday. Okay, CNN and NBC made a big deal to not show it on TV or what have you, not stream it or what have you, and that basically was the talk for like 24 hours. The rest of this just fell completely flat on its ass like a fucking lead balloon. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares about it. It's not in the news cycle anymore. When literally, like the president of the United States came on national television and said one of our number one geopolitical rivals is responsible for rigging our elections, and nobody gives a shit. And why does nobody give a shit? Because we know it's bullshit. We know it's bullshit deep down. Okay, the Democrats are the fucking problem. It's not the fucking Chinese.
Even the SAVE Act, everyone obsesses over the SAVE Act if that's going to fix everything. Like, all right, well, what's your plan for the SAVE Act when California ignores you? What are you going to do then? Well, if you do have a plan for that, you should probably just do that right now, unless you're telling me that election fraud's legal. And if it is illegal, then you can do that right now, actually. You don't even need the SAVE Act. You can just stop them. You just need the will to do so.
Yep, pretty much. I mean, and again, it's just we're talking about all these grand things, right? We're talking about all of these, initiatives that all the plan trusters are still telling us are right around the horizon, guys. Like the mass deportation's about to kick in. We're about to deport 35 million people within the next year. We're going to stop this war in Iran. We're going to fix the economy. We're going to deport all these people. We're going to get these tariffs going. And then you look at it on the face of it, and Trump hasn't defied a single judge. It's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Well,
Well, I mean, I think the problem is again, I will say that we're talking about it, and us talking about it means that we were taking Trump's power away to do anything
Regardless
because
of
the podcasters are the problem.
Speaking of judges, though, regardless of what your opinions may or may not be on Lincoln and FDR, under their rule, Supreme Court justices were terrified of being arrested and then ruled in their favor. That's what we need. We need all these judges to be absolutely terrified of defying the president.
yep.
I don't care what it takes. Like, they can have car accidents, they can have CP on their hard drives. Find something.
How about just, importing a bunch of Haitians into Amy Coney Barrett's neighborhood? They could go on play dates with her kids. How about that?
Into her house.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what had happened, right? If he did decide to go full Lincoln, a bunch of lawyers, Wittsteins and Bergs, just start going crazy, and then they'll just back down.
I think they would be happier in Israel.
That too. Somebody in the chat says the deep podcaster state. Yeah, exactly. That's who's running it.
Yes.
Anyway.
Candace Owens has a magical microphone through which she can control the entire state apparatus. We must learn this power from her.
Exactly. We need to have a Osama bin Laden style raid on Candace Owens' residence and take her microphone from her, because apparently it has the power to control the largest country and the most powerful country in the face of the earth. Bananas. Absolutely bananas. All right. I've had enough of these topics today. I've had enough talking about this stuff. Let's get through these super chats and go. Anyone else have any final things to say? No, just well, you know what? I do have one final thing that I will say. Just came to me right now here. Okay, we're talking about all these issues that we're facing with our country. We're talking about the economy. We're talking about immigration. We're talking about the foreign wars. We're talking about Israel more than likely being fully integrated with our intelligence services. Wonderful, but when it all comes down to it, it's like, what are we going to do? Just sit and roll over and die? No, we're not. We're men of the OGC. This is why these in-person networks are just so important. Imagine in the future, the next administration comes along and the ADL gets access to flock camera information after they've cross-referenced your verification on Twitter. And we find Joe Blow here, lives in Tennessee, in Nashville, and his Ford F-150 went through this intersection on Johnny Cash Highway, or whatever the hell they got over there. And he also went through this one at this time. You're going to need a group of guys to have your back, a group of guys who can support you through these hard times, people you can find employment with, find shelter with, find camaraderie with. We're all we have, but we're also all we need. We're either we're in this together, or we're certainly going to all hang separately. So everyone should join their local OGC chapter. All right, let's get through these super chats, guys, and call it a night. So scrolling right up to the top, we have our good friend, Mr. Solid Snake 1964. For some reason, like everybody always talks about, like, you say things into your phone and then all of a sudden you get a bunch of ads for it and what have you, even though you didn't type it in. Recently in my YouTube feed, I've been getting a lot of recommendations for like Metal Gear Solid clips, and like the only game I've ever played in this franchise was Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. And it's like, why are all these like, Metal Gear Solid stuff getting thrown in my YouTube feed at this point? And I think it's honestly because my phone is listening to me say Solid Snake, every week when he super chats us. So it's your fault, sir. It's your fault that I'm getting clips of Big Boss and Ocelot dueling it out with each other. But anyway, Solid Snake 1964 has once again snuck behind enemy lines to get the first super chat in. He says, "Evening, gents. Thankfully, I think my town is too poor to afford flock cameras, so I'm good on that front. I prefer my phone spying on me anyway." See, look, like, yep, see, he's in on it. Salute. But you are a real American, sir, so you get a real American.
Real Americans.
I love that. Good part of the soundboard. It's a good one. All right. We got Jezza for $20 says, "Thanks, guys." Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Seasider sends us $10 and a salute, as he does every week. Thank you, Seasider. You are a real American.
Real Americans.
Yeah, real Americans. City Break Dancer Man, somebody I always look forward to reading out their super chat names on here. Thank you. For $5, he says, "About to meet my newborn nephew tomorrow. Can't wait to tell him all about Section 219. I'll let him know he better pull himself up by his bootstraps." Oh, man. Well, City Break Dancer Man, you are not a boomer, sir. So I can tell he's not a boomer because the super chat wasn't sent in all caps. So, you're not a boomer. Don't become one, sir. the American Southwest, our good friend Mr. Thomas Wayne Riley. You guys can see him on Mondays on American Spirits. And if I do dare say, Mr. American Southwest has the most charming accent of anyone in the entire scene. So my hat's off to you, sir. And it's just a great man all around in general. Great guy. For $5, he says, can't listen tonight, but I look forward to hearing this tomorrow. Godspeed, gentlemen. Well, Godspeed to you, sir. And thank you very much. Okay. Let's see. We got Bobby Bob for $20 says, we will be an oppressed, persecuted minority. This is unavoidable, and the boomers will cheer it on. That's why OGC is needed. Stay strong, stay together. Yes, I mean, the theme of the national conference this year was together or separately. Of course, playing off that famous Benjamin Franklin quote at the signing of the Declaration of Independence. No, it's true. It's true. Join the local chapter, guys. They're growing all the time. I'm amazed. In the various meetings that I'm in every week, listening to what our guys are doing in their local areas. It's amazing stuff. It's very white pilling. I wouldn't, all of us here, like Pete, myself, Charlemagne, Doug, Elberon Quinn, everybody that you see here on the OGC network, right? It's like we wouldn't be in this thing if we actually didn't believe in it. It's like I can tell you this right now. We're not making billions off this. I'll tell you that much. We're not in this for the money. I'll certainly tell you that. So I am hopeful for the future when I see our guys and what a bunch of smart, intelligent white guys can do when they're all together in one room. That's where my hope is for the future. It's certainly not in Washington, D.C. Bolero 393 for $10. Trump and the GOP should have had a constitutional amendment ready to repeal the 14th, even if it's just anchoring at this point. It's at least a litmus test, and it beats just whining on Truth Social. Well, I mean, whining on Truth Social is basically all the Trump administration does at this point. So, maddening. But, all right. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap it up this evening?
Nah, I'd just be repeating myself.
All right. Very good.
Despite everything that we talked about, I've never been more white-pilled. The network is growing. The things that our guys are achieving is absolutely incredible. And the normies are tired of this. They are done. The alt-right sufficiently radicalized the normies. They did that. And we are so there. The historical currents are with us. It's amazing.
Yeah, that is very true. No, I mean, just the most white pilling thing about this whole space that we occupy, okay, is that our enemies basically need to have the cheat codes for unlimited money, unlimited propaganda, and unlimited military arms, and they are still losing on this front. And that's what's really amazing, is that when it really comes down to it, we truly only have to win once. The right wing really only needs to win once. And eventually, just through either sheer dumb luck or through the law of averages and the law of numbers, we will eventually get there. And I'm becoming more and more convinced of that as the days go by, as I see the quality of character that we are attracting in our orbit. And then I contrast that with every other, right-wing organization, or God forbid, any of the left-wing ones. It's like, no, I agree with Doug here. I actually am very hopeful for the future. Despite what may come.
I do have a question for Doug. Is that Traficant in your
It most certainly is, sir.
That's so fucking based.
Appropriate for tonight's conversation as well.
Absolutely.
All right. And we got one final super chat under the wire here. We got Vulpes Persona, frequent super chatter, frequent guy in the chat, sends us a salute for $5. Thank you, sir. You are a real American.
Real Americans.
Yes, indeed. Real American. All right, cool. Mr. Pete, where can people find more of your stuff and anything you have to promote, sir? I actually just got finished listening to your most recent Thought Crime Syndicate episode earlier today, so people should be listening to that. But what else do you have to promote?
Oh, the Pete Quinones Show and PeteSubstack.com. That's it. Released. Mr. Bagby and I we took a little hiatus from the Road to the Civil War series, and we're picking it back up. Even got another episode on top of the new one I just dropped tonight. Get ready to go.
man, I mean, the workload that you put out, Pete, it's like nothing else. People really should be subscribing and listening. And every time you get to talk to George Bagby is a treat, man. Like, that man is just an absolute wealth of knowledge. It's crazy. I learn something new every time I talk to Bagby. Even like when we're in person, we're just like walking past each other at like an event or something. You know, if we have like any like 2 minutes to sit down and actually talk about something, I will learn something new from that man. It really is amazing.
He really is one of the best of us. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Here we go. We got Kurt Rescher for $5 coming in the last second. Greetings from Hoosierland. Keep up the great work. Well, we're not stopping anytime soon, so thank you very much, sir. All right, Doug, you got nothing to promote. You're not doing anything.
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, sir. And if you want to hear more of Doug and his base takes, you should be subscribing to the OGC and becoming a channel member at the Standing Back, Standing By tier, where you guys can listen to myself, Mr. Charlemagne, Mr. Doug here, Mr. Mandrel, Mr. Alvaron Quinn, as we play Warhammer. And our current campaign right now is us destroying the evil Chinese. So that's a fun one. You know, you just got to be on your toes. So sometimes we do these streams at scheduled times. Sometimes we do them at wee hours of the morning. You just never know. You got to be on your toes. So be subscribed over there. For myself, I appeared on my good friend Jack Napier's channel with Red Evening last Friday. So you guys can go listen to that. I was also on recently with Mr. Captain Capitalism himself, Aaron Clary, and my good friend Mr. Chad Elkins. You can listen to that show from last week where we were talking about AI and the tax industry and whatnot. And then also, I will be making an appearance soon on Timeline Earth, our good friends over there at TLE, the #1 men in news. So be sure to listen to that pretty soon.
I'll be recording with Birdo tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we're recording on Monday. So
TLE, isn't that Burden show?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, they're not going to keep saying that. So, all right. Well, be on the lookout for that. And then we will be here next week for Pony Express Radio. Check out Chapter House on Wednesdays. Check out American Spirits on Mondays. Go to the OGC Substack, read what we're doing there. And then, of course, check out the OGC website where you could find local chapters in your area. There is almost 50 chapters there now. It's close. It's creeping ever closer by the day. So there's bound to be one in your area. And if there isn't one, you damn well better start one. We'll see you guys next week.
When I pass on my good genes to my sons, they're going to join the Old Glory Club.